Yeah.
I'll set this right here for right now. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
It's nice to have this little stage area right now.
It is
Here,
so nice.
we prepare to start recording our high holidays this week already to bring you a great experience. It's been a long week, but it's good to end that week by singing, by praying, by learning, and by being together. So, with that being said, I'm joined by my friend Karen Nielsen Hansen. And Karen, you can lead us.
So whatever brings you here this week, whatever kind of week you've had, I invite you to lay down those stresses and welcome in the peace of Shabbat. La 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 la. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, Shabbat Shalom. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, Shabbat Shalom. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la ya la ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 Kiva Moed, Kiva Moed, Kiva Moed, Kiva Moed, Kiva Moed, Maya Fe Hayom, Shabbat Shalom, Maya Fe Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Sing with me. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We're glad you could be here. It means so much to us to have you here.
Shabbat
And now,
Shalom.
we get to go ahead and sing about those angels of Shabbat and welcome in those beautiful angels of Shabbat by singing Shalom Aleichem, page 142. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Moachem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Uni L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tetchem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Page 138. L'chadodi.
Let's get a little swanky here, Rabbi, as we welcome in the bride of Shabbat. We welcome in Shabbat as if she wore a beautiful bride. And it goes like this. Lecha lecha doti, likrat likrat kala, pene pene shava nekavela. Lecha lecha doti, likrat likrat kala, pene pene shava nekavela. Shamor bezakur bidi bur echad, kishmi anu elam yuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad. L'Shem al tiferet v'liti la 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 chadoti likrat likrat kala pene pene shava nekavela lecha lecha doti likrat likrat kala pene pene shava nekavela likrat shava lehu v'necha ki hi mekor ha'bracha merosh megedem nesuka Sov ma'aseh v'chmashavat la 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 chadoti likrat likrat kala pene pene shava nekavela lecha lecha doti likrat likrat kala pene pene shava nekavela Hitori hitori kida ori kuri uri uri shir daveri kavod Adonai el yanegli la 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 chadoti likrat likrat kala pene pene shava nekavela lecha lecha doti likrat likrat kala pene pene shava nekavela we rise and we face the door Bo'im v'shalom aderet ba'ala Dava simcha u'v'tala Toch hamonei am segula Bo'ichala la 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 chadoti likrat likrat kala pene pene shava nekavela lecha lecha doti likrat likrat kala pene pene shava nekavela la 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 chadoti likrat likrat kala pene pene shava nekavela lecha lecha doti likrat likrat kala pene pene shava nekavela Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. We are now going to turn to page 140 for, I believe, Psalm 92. Should I leave that one, or do you, or you want?
Go for it.
All right. Here we go. Sadikatamar yifrach ke'eret bavanon yiskehem shetulim beved Adonai bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu odinu v'mbeseva Deshenim v'ra'anim yehiyu l'hagid ki yashar Adonai suri v'lo avlatabo. Page 144. Yitkada v'ikada shmei rabba ve'amad yivrach yirtevim lech malchutei B'chayechon v'yomechon uv'chayedecho be'Yisrael Bagala uv'izman kariv v'meru Amen Yehi shmei rabba mevarach le'olam le'omaya yibarach Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yibar v'yishramam v'yanaseh v'yithadar v'yitale v'yitalal shmei dekudisha b'rechu le'elam min kol berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiram be'almam v'meru call to worship the Baruch Hu, page 146.
La 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Baruch Hu et Adonai. Amen.
You may be seated. Turn to page 149. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars, creator of the tide of time and light. You guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai ha'ma'ariv aravim. Page 150.
Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael Ahavta Torah mitzvot Chukim u'mishpatim Otanu limata Al ken Adonai Eloheinu V'shokbeinu u'kumeinu Nasiach bechukecha V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha U'mitzvotecha Le'olam va'ed Kichem chayenu ve'orach yameinu V'hem nega yamam v'leila Ve'ahavtacha al tasir mimenu le'olam Baruch atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Page 152.
Rabbi, would you please lead us in the Shema?
Absolutely, I'd be honored.
Actually, will you join me?
I will join you,
love
and then
it.
I'll lead the Ve'ahavta. Go ahead. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha B'chol levavcha u'b'chol nefshecha u'b'chol meodecha Ve'hayu ha'devarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayam alevavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha u'letecha v'derech u'shachbecha u'kumecha u'kshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafo b'neinecha u'chtavtam al mizuzot beitecha u'visharecha leman tizkeru v'asitem ekol mitzvotai V'tem Kedoshim Elohem, Ani Adonai Elohim, Asher Hotzeiti Ethem Meretz Mitzrayim, Liot Lahem Elohim, Ani Adonai Elohim, Adonai Elohim, Emet. I think what was so remarkable for our people once they crossed the Sea of Reeds, why they danced and sang with joy, it wasn't just that they were free all of a sudden, but rather, for the first time in their lives, they knew what justice felt like. For generations and generations and generations, they had been enslaved, they had been beaten without consequences, they had been deprived any sort of dignity or pay, and they also even watched as their firstborns were thrown into the Nile and drowned. But at that moment, they saw that there was justice in the world and that it would favor them this time. And that in this moment, too, they were able to step forward and now be in charge of their own destiny and in charge of their own fate and responsible for their actions, which was something that they had never had before for hundreds of years. So let's join together in our song that celebrates when we got that justice, that freedom, the Micha Mocha, page 158 of the Mishkan Tefillah Siddur.
So I hope to get you off your feet for this one. Go ahead and clap along, or if you have a shaker or a tambourine, I know Miriam led our people in song with timbrels. So if you have anything that resembles a timbrel, please pick it up and sing along, and let's celebrate our freedom that we get to be in a country where we get to celebrate whatever religion, whatever rituals we want to. Here we go. Yum bum bum ba yum bum 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 yum bum bum ba yum bum 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 yum bum bum ba yum bum 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 yum bum 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 yum bum 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 bum. Michamocha be'elim Adonai, Michamocha nehedar b'kodesh, Nora tehilot oseh peleh, Nora tehilot oseh peleh. Malechutecha ra'uvanecha, bokei hayam livnei Moshe u'Miriam, Ze'elianu v'yamru, Ze'elianu v'yamru. Adonai imo le'olam va'ed. Adonai imo le'olam va'ed. Yam bam bam ba yam bam 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 bam. Yam bam bam ba yam bam 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 bam. Yam bam bam ba yam bam 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 bam. Yam bam bam ba yam bam 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 bam.
Turn to page 160, Hashki Venu, asking God to watch over and keep us safe. Top of the page, Shamru.
Shamru Bnei Yisrael et HaShabbat. La'asot et HaShabbat לדורתם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת. לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. בני ובן בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת. לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת. לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת. לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם.
Please rise, 164. Adonai.
Ananana sfatai tifloch. Ananana upriyagi. Upriyagi tehilatecha.
Adonai sefatai tiftach upriyagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, El Hagadol, Hagibor, V'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Hasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Hasdei Avavimot, Umevi Gula Livnei V'Nehem, Leman Shemo Be'ava, Melech Ozer Umoshia Umagen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Vezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechaye HaKol atah Rab Le'oshia. Morid Hatah, Mechalkel Ha'im Bechesed, Mechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim. Somech Noflim V'Rofeh Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato Lishene Afar, Micha Mocha Bal Gevurot, Umidomela, Melech Memi, Umechaye, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'emanat Alechachayot HaKol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechaye HaKol, Atah Kadosh, Shimcha Kadosh, Ushim B'chol Yom Yachalilu Chasela, Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. May continue to pray on your own, and when you are finished, you may be seated.
Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael.
This time, we turn our thoughts to those in need of healing of the mind, body, and spirit with Misha Berach on page 371.
Sheberach Avotenu B'kor habracha l'imotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen.
This week, we think of these members of our community and their loved ones. Aharon ben Avraham Vasara, Daniel ben Chaya, Yochanan Yitzhak ben Shimon Pinchas, Esther bat Malka, Gitalea bat Mashachana, Hulda bat Hindel Rachel, Michael ben Manya, Shifra Fega bat Rachel, Yisrael Isser ben Moshe, Yisrael bat Donna, Laureen Berry, Claire Cashmore, Elwood Parker Crowell, Denise Dobling, Alexander Dahlwitz, Sandy Dahlwitz, Albert Goldberg, Will Goldman, Hillary Greenberg, Sandy Kahn, Sharon Katz, Betty Linehan, Jamie Manson, Tyler Matthews, Janet Morley, Shari Pedersen, Cheryl Rothenberg, Gary Rubenstein, Jenna Salvati, Marshall Sanders, Anel Santoyo, Jim Schalheim, Leon Shabashnikov, Penny Spector, Angela Stefani, Gloria Sussman, Gary Spivey, David Stern, Rita Schweitzer, Dustin Wallace, and Harriet Wallace. If you have a name to add, I'd like to invite you to do so at this time.
Am I seeing Bless those in need of healing with refuah shaleimah, a renewal of body, a renewal of spirit, and let us say
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Let me actually, got this whole extra stage right here. I'll just move a little closer, actually, so you can see me better. There we go. Now I won't be so far away. Oh. There are some dates that I reflect on that I think were some of the darkest days in our country's history, at least in modern history. And I think about certain days that come to mind, of course, like September 11th, 2001, November 22nd, 1963, the assassination of JFK, the day that Martin Luther King was assassinated, the day Bobby Kennedy was assassinated, the day of Nixon's resignation. And another day that stands out for me, at least in my own lifetime, was April 29th, 1992. In case that date doesn't ring a bell off the top of your head, go, what was April 29th, 1992? The name I'm about to say will remind you immediately. Rodney King. It was on April 29th, 1992, that the verdict in the Rodney King trial against 4 officers who were charged with excessive force and assault came in. And all 4 officers were found not guilty by a jury that consisted of 10 white people, 1 Asian person, 1 Latino person, and 1 biracial man. And as this jury decision was announced, and there were protests outside, the late film director John Singleton said that this verdict was lighting a fuse for a bomb. And what followed was a week of riots, killing 63 people, torching loads of buildings, and injuring over 2,000. And it was infuriating because those jurors saw the same video that the rest of us saw. What they saw was a black man on the ground, handcuffed, completely unable to defend himself or posing any threat, and being beaten and kicked mercilessly by 4 white police officers. And what the reaction of the black community was, like what this outpouring of anger and violence was a response to, was saying, why do we have to support the laws and uphold justice in our country when the justice system doesn't work for us, when it completely fails us? And it's reminiscent of what we saw this spring with the killing of George Floyd. Now, I'm not somebody who supports in any way violence or the torching of buildings. That's not what I believe in. But I understand it because I've heard people say, how else can we get our point across? And the protests that we saw pop up, these were a demand for our country to start following the laws of the Torah that we read this week in Parshat Shoftim. Parshat Shoftim has one of the most infamous quotes in the entire Torah, when it emphatically says, Tzedek, Tzedek, Tirdof, justice, justice, you shall pursue. Mentioning justice twice, and a lot of people say that that's for added emphasis of the importance of justice. But also, though, we learn in commentaries that it's said twice because there needs to be justice for both sides, for the accused and the accuser. And in the case of Rodney King deserved to get arrested. In case you don't know the background of Rodney King, a lot of people don't know what led to his arrest. They just know what happened after he was arrested. He deserved to be arrested. He had an outstanding warrant against him. He was suspected of driving under the influence. And then as police were trying to pull him over, he led them on a high-speed chase, reaching speeds of 117 miles per hour. He endangered not only his own, but the lives of so many innocent people, and he violated multiple laws of our society designed to keep us safe. And arresting him was an act of justice. However, then ruthlessly beating an unarmed man who's on the ground handcuffed, that's not an example of justice. that's no longer removing a threat. That's an extrajudicial punishment. That's injustice. And then for those officers to be found not guilty for violating the same laws that they are gatekeepers for, that too was unjust. And that brings me to the most prominent group that has been protesting across our nation for justice, the Black Lives Matter movement. Now, I have, full transparency, some significant disagreements with many components of the Black Lives Matter movement. It doesn't have a leader by design. It's not particularly well organized as a result, or have a consistent message. And sometimes a Black Lives Matter movement in one place, like Utah, will be well organized and doing great things, and maybe another Black Lives Matter movement in another city or state won't be as well organized. But namely, like many Jewish people, I've been concerned seeing anti-Semitism being allowed to creep into that movement by supporters of the movement, by affiliate groups. And yet, despite this, I've been a vocal supporter of the Black Lives Matter movement this year. I have a few Black Lives Matter signs around my house, and my wife purchased 40 signs, and then at cost, because you could only buy them in bulk of 40, at cost, sold them to our neighbors so that they could have a sign in their yard too. And this vocal support that I've had for Black Lives Matter hasn't come without consequences. It's cost us a couple of families' memberships already, and some donations, as people have left the synagogue over my support for this movement. But what Jewish support of Black Lives Matter can mean, I think, is not that we necessarily agree with everyone affiliated and involved in the movement. Rather, I support Black Lives Matter because I think we should all agree with the message that people of color deserve justice too. The Torah tells us this week that we are not allowed to favor someone in cases involving justice because they are rich, or we can't choose to side with somebody out of pity because they are poor, but rather all must be afforded equal justice. And that's just simply not the case in our country. And to me, there's nowhere that that's more evident than the death penalty. I'm very against the death penalty. And it's not because I think that the death penalty is inherently bad. And when I hear about some of these people who are executed and what they have done, I don't feel too much sympathy for them. But rather, what deeply disturbs me about the death penalty is that we see that a man of color is exponentially more likely to be sentenced to death than a white man who committed the same crime. That is not justice. And that's why we need to continue to speak out on this matter. I used to be so uncomfortable when I would hear people chant, "No justice, no peace," because it sounds like a call for violence. But perhaps I was hearing it wrong. Maybe that's the way some people intended it. Maybe what people mean when they say that is that how can you feel peace without justice? if I don't have justice in my life, do I have peace in my life? It's like the Hebrew word for peace is shalom, which comes from the same word, the same root as the word for completion, shalem. Because how can a peace really be a peace if it's not a complete peace? And so, likewise, how can we be at peace when we're denied justice? Yet when we know justice, we will also know peace. We are commanded in the Torah to seek peace and pursue it. And a way that we can do that is by doing a great act of tzedakah, pursuing tzedek, pursuing justice, as we are commanded to do in the Torah this week. Now, I think differences can be hashed out later about Israel, about I don't know, our world views. But that shouldn't stop us from right now standing with our neighbors and not standing idly by as our neighbor's blood is shed, as is commanded in the Torah. But rather, we need to stand up and do what our portion tells us this week. Make sure that everyone is entitled equally to justice. And until we do that, our work of fulfilling the Torah's vision will always be incomplete. It will not be shalom. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Yasher koach, Rabbi.
Thank you. Do you have a song for us?
Such a beautiful message. Are we, let's see.
I have announcements, but I don't.
I do have a song for you.
Go
but,
ahead.
I mean, I have a couple of songs based on what you just told us.
Please.
But I thought I would save them for the end, but it's totally up to you.
How about you give us
So
one
I have one
now?
for right now in this moment, and then I'll sing another one at the end. And the one for right now goes like this. It's about tzedek and about being instruments of peace. Peace will come, and let it begin with me. Sweet, sweet peace. Peace will come, and let it begin with me. Oh, in my life is all I control. Oh, let my life be lived from the peace of my soul. Let us bring peace, sweet peace. Peace will come, and let it begin with me.
Thank you. So a few announcements. I want to thank Karen for leading us tonight in our worship. Karen, you're an absolute delight. Everybody told me how much they love hearing you sing and lead with us on Fridays. Tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., we have the bar mitzvah of Seth King. It will be a conservative service. Please tune in and watch and cheer Seth on as he is called to the Torah. And beyond that, we have Rabbi Wenger's classes continuing on Sunday and on Wednesday. You can find those in your announcements. Tuesday at 7, we have our fourth of 5 installments of our virtual Israel tour. We'll be talking, actually, kind of like I mentioned in my Torah in my Dvar Torah this evening, about BDS a little bit and about college advocacy involving Israel. So please tune in 7 o'clock Tuesday for that. This week and next week, Cantor Loeb and I will be doing all of our filming for the High Holidays to provide you with a really amazing, unique, wonderful High Holiday experience this year that will also be safe. If you could please send videos to communications@concolami.org of you wishing people a Shana Tova with your family, that would be fantastic. Or you can email me pictures of deceased loved ones for us to include in our Yizkor slideshow. That would be beautiful as well. So please thank you to everybody who has renewed their membership. We're grateful to you for keeping us afloat during these difficult times to continue our holy work. You'll need to renew your membership in order to get a passcode for High Holidays this year. Like I said, they'll be very different, but still very meaningful, engaging, wonderful. And the last thing as well is this Sunday, religious school is starting. So please, again, those are going to be virtual classes for the time being to keep all of your kids safe. But if you still haven't enrolled your kids, send me an email or email our interim director of religious school, Tamara Kipper, who's doing a wonderful job making sure that classes are still engaging this year despite the challenges. So I look forward to having you in those. With that said, we will turn to 586 for the Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol la'tetz gedula
Yotzer
la'yotzer
Bereshit,
bereshit Shelunu teshamayim vo yotzer aretz Umoshav yakara v'shamayim ma'al
Ushina tuso v'vopei meromim U'Eloheinu eino Va'anachnu korim U'mishtahavim u'modim Livnei melech Malchei hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Shehu notei shamayim v'yoser haaretz U'moshe v'yikaro v'shamayim ima'al U'shina tuzo B'govhei meromim Hu Eloheinu eino Emet malkeinu epizulato Kakatuv b'torato V'yadata yom v'chashemota elevavecha Ki Adonai hu ha'Elohim B'shamayim ima'al Ve'al ha'aretz Tachat einod
Wow, Rabbi, that was beautiful.
Kakatuv b'toratecha Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed V'ne'emar V'haya Adonai L'melech al kol haaretz Bayom hahu Yeh Adonai echad U'shemo echad. This time we think of those who've come before, who are no longer physically among us, yet are still in our hearts. This week, in the period of Shloshim, 30-day period of mourning, we remember Pearl Goldman Coleman, mother of Marin Coleman, Pearl Smith, mother of Betsy Smith, Marcia Sargent, sister of Betsy Smith, Sheila Kolodkin, cousin of Laura and Larry Green, Ira Tannenbaum, a beloved member of our community, Jenny Lee Allen Creer, mother of Moshe Amukeme, Reverend Kenneth G. Oswald, father of Levine Shapiro, and Ted Levy, friend to many in our community. And this week we observe the following Yortzites, the anniversary of the passing of these loved ones: Milton Anisman, Etta Freshman Bontsick, Robert Brownstein, Bea Cohen, Scott Eisen, Benjamin Engelberg, Diane Essig, Myra Finkelstein, David Fleming, Shirley Geffen, Greta Gettina, Sarah Greenhut, Barbara Kalin, Louis Kaplan, Karen Kaufman, Sandra Lazarus, Alexander Levine, Frida Levitt, Nellie Lewis, Meyer Lipka, Joan Lipsky, Abe Nord, Kate Allner, Anna Pellet, Edith Rappaport, Raquel Richardson, Shmuel Roisman, Isidore Schwager, Joshua Shapiro, Elihu Avigdor Silver, John Speaks, Florence Stone, Harold J. Sussman, Dor Tressman, Maureen Weisman, Theodore Wilk, Gail Ellen Wimmer, Jack Wolf, and Herbert Zalkind. If you have a name to add, I invite you to do so at this time. Zichronam livracha. May their memories be for a blessing. We turn to page 598. Say these words. Itkada v'ikada shemei rabah. Be'alma divrach yirtei v'imlich malchutei b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol be'Yisrael ba'agala uv'izman kari v'imru. Amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevarach le'olam omei omaya. Yibrach v'ishtabach v'ipa'ar v'itramam v'yinasei. Yitadar v'yitalei v'yitalal shmei dekusha brechu. Le'elam min kol berchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'ami ram be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. V'imru. Amen. Osei shalom b'mromav. Uya say shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. V'imru. Amen. A source of peace and peace to all who are mourning. Comfort those of you who are bereaved. Again, we say, Amen.
Amen.
And Karen, thank you again so much for leading us this evening. If you could close us out.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the honor of asking me to assist you.
Oh, honor's all ours.
Joy.
It is a joy.
It really is. It's pure joy. I have the opportunity, the lucky and favorable opportunity to be able to be in this beautiful sanctuary. And I think about all of you, and I can't wait for the day that we can be here together and that we can give each other a hug. So I hope that you consider this Shabbat just a great big hug.
Hooray.
And that this song, I don't know why, while the rabbi was singing, or speaking rather, I was singing in my head this song, because I think that there are those of you out there who are in a very narrow place and who are trying to remember what it feels like to not be afraid. And so these words just came to me. And so maybe let me know if this song is for you. But certainly sing along if you know it. And remember that we are here for you and that you are not alone. Kol ha'olam kulo gesher tzar me'od, gesher tzar me'od, gesher tzar me'od. Kol ha'olam kulo gesher tzar me'od, gesher tzar me'od. Be'al ikar, be'al ikar, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom. Hang in there.
Are we still on? Rabbi, I saw you wearing a mask tonight. Would you prefer that I wear a mask? I am totally fine doing that. I was under the impression we are not wearing masks, but we wear them all the time in McGillis.
If you feel it help you sing better to not have it on, then that's totally fine. I'll just be in the back or like behind you while you're singing. That's totally
And
fine.
I think the safest place is actually behind me, because the droplets, I understand, like go flying. But
Thanks for asking. Whatever you're comfortable with, as long as I'm not staying like right next to you or right in front of you, then
yeah, no, absolutely.